Hi, my name is Ian Khan, and you're watching the GX video series, or you're listening to the GX podcast. We are at the World Government Summit 2023 here in Dubai, where almost more than 5,000 government leaders, service sector people, tech people, whoever has something to do with emerging tech, governance, and the future, they are here. And one of them is Cecelia. Cecelia Tham is a futurist. Yes?
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. And you do a lot of things, Cecelia, based out of Barcelona. So, bienvenidos. Welcome to
Thank
Dubai.
you so much.
Tell us about your work. What are you focused on right now? And what are you doing in Dubai?
I'm doing many things like you've said before, but one of the things, the core things that I really wanted to do is help companies and organizations to navigate the future, which means that how can we really drill down on the core of the unknown and really navigate the future, not by theory, but by science, by data, and with some technologies at hand.
Excellent. So I've been looking forward to speaking with you, being a fellow futurist. I've got all these things that I want to geek out with you on foresight and futurism, which could take a while, right? Let's talk about the future of governments, right? You work across the world with private public sector. What are you seeing as a trend in government service delivery, reducing the friction between people and governments, making services seamless? Like what are you seeing?
The role of the government is so very important. So there's this framework that is almost like my Bible. It's called the PACE layers, and which is what I'm going to be talking about at the World Government Summit. The PACE layers basically gives you a guideline to understand how things are changing and evolving. So obviously technology is changing at a rate that is ridiculous, whereas nature, by definition, evolution is slow, and then everything in between. What's really important is that the governance layer is right in the middle, and it is the layer that sets the pace of change, right? And so as our society is changing at a much faster rate, we're finding that government is, for better or worse, is lacking tools, abilities, even technologies to kind of keep at that same pace.
Right.
And so now we're seeing in this shift that the government is seeing that there's a need to upskill. And we're seeing moonshot factories being launched across the world, from Japan all the way to Germany. And we are helping the Spanish government to create these long-term vision, long-term horizon projects that have great impact, but requires the investment on the government level to be able to kind of invest into the future space.
Yeah, and it's a great time, I think, for investments into the future. And over the last, I would say, 10 years, 10 plus years, there's been more awareness of all of that. Governments have started paying more attention and focus on, hey, actually technology can help us do that. Let's focus on citizen data. Let's focus on digital identity. So there are many things that are happening, right? You have the poster child of the world. For example, Singapore, Estonia, that did the firsts of many, right? They did the first of digital identity, e-residency, and so on. But when you look at a market like the UAE has more than 500 services within government that are digital.
Yeah.
Like digital services are the thing here in the UAE. During the pandemic as well, UAE was really active on making sure everybody's good, everybody's safe, and how to make society work. What are you seeing in terms of regions? Is any region doing better or not? Who's catching up more in across the world? We'd love to know.
I definitely think that the digital adoption and the digital transformation that comes with it is very regional and country based. And this is my first time coming to Dubai, and I am blown away. I am blown away at how far advanced this technology is. And I also have to say that different countries will adopt things with various different intentions, right? I mean, in the East and in China especially, there's much more of a authoritative approach, and it's good and bad. Every single approach has its good and bad. Whereas in the United States, it's much more democratic and much more easy-handed. And so I think I don't think there's a one approach. Every culture, every tradition has their own limitations and have their own benefits, right? And you really need to kind of understand their culture in order to adopt some of these technologies.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to see how different countries will understand technologies the way that each country needs to be interpreted.
Tell us about your favorite technologies that are emerging right now, right? Everybody's talking about ChatGPT 3. Everybody's talking about the metaverse. Everybody's talking about so many other things. Tell us what your favorites are and why. Yeah.
It's hard to pick a favorite as a futurist
Yeah,
because
I
we
know.
need to kind of understand technology across the board.
Yeah.
You know, quantum is amazing. AI is all the hype right now. Metaverse seems to be kind of very last year. I don't have a favorite. I think from us, from a futurist standpoint, we often think about, we try to force ourselves to think about both the good and the bad, the positive consequences and the negative consequences, and really kind of reach even beyond the first order of understanding how these things will impact, right? So when we do these exercises, then we see, well, you know, AI is great, but, you know, let's be careful of some of the possible unintended consequences that we might suffer.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that we're living right now is that we're living in the unintended consequences, the negative ones that have been decided upon us in the prior generations, right? So how can we avoid that? You know, how can we preemptively prepare ourselves for these technologies to come that we need to adopt and preemptively think about solutions for?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the areas I want to ask you about is maybe climate change, ESG. Big focus on ESG, climate change, let's save the earth, and it's all great. We have to do that, and why weren't we doing it over the last, I don't know, 1,000 years? I don't know, right? That's a big question. What do you think governments should do about ESG? Which digital technologies can help us do that? Is it you know, blockchain that'll help us create digital identity and efficiency and so on? Is that the path? Or is it something else? What is it?
I think for me, there's a big issue of alignment. And I think the core role of a government is to align that from the company level all the way to the citizen level, that we have the same goal. And I think we have been lacking the ability to do that. And as the technologies, AI would be a great optimization tool, or even recommendations engine, right? Quantum will excel the way that we can calculate some of these very much needed solutions. But I think the government very much needs to kind of be intentional about how to align all of these initiatives so that we can, you know, solve the solutions that we really wanted to do.
Of course, and that's exactly what is happening here at the World Government Summit.
Exactly.
It's happening at the GX Forum and GX Talks that we're both part of this year. And it's been happening here for the last 10 years because this is the 10th year anniversary of the World Government Summit. Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's a long time, and I've seen it over the last 4 or 5 years. I've been part of it. It's really grown. It has transformed. The conversations are different, and there's more focus on accountability, on transparency, and things that create efficiency in government. Let's talk about, as we head towards the conclusion of our conversation, let's talk about maybe recommendations for governments on making things better, right? Irrespective of whether they're doing it or not. What can governments do to make the world a better place?
Oh, that is such a broad question.
I know it is. I wanted to leave it, you know, open for interpretation.
I think that, for one, you know, from the futurist perspective, and you probably will know this, that, you know, the tools and the framework that have been provided for us has always been almost a kind of a passive role. Here's the future. How can we see it? And then let's prepare for it. Mm-hmm. Right now, I think that conversation has been shifted into, okay, well, the future is to come. How can we be proactive about creating those futures that we want? Mm-hmm. And so my recommendation is that, you know, from the government perspective, how can we, you know, be active and proactive about creating those futures? And what do we need to do now in order for those futures to happen in the future?
I have a trick question for you.
Oh, no.
And I have an ulterior motive behind this. Future readiness or future proofing?
Future readiness or future proofing? Oh, I think neither. I think it's future building.
Future building, wow.
It is future building.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. I really think we proactively have to, you know, come together to build these amazing futures of all different kinds, right? I mean, the world isn't better in many places, right? Look at the world around us, whether it's natural disasters, it's things that are not in our control that impact people at a global level now. How can we make sure they're avoided in the future? How can we create, I don't know, the new generations of children that are growing up right now? How can we make them seamlessly love government rather than go against it and fight it, and, you know?
Yeah, Absolutely.
I think those are all conversations for us to have. But I hope you have a great time at the
Yes.
World Government Summit. Thanks for
Already
being
have.
with us
Thank you so much.
at this podcast. Tell us where people can find you, and they will find you.
I will be giving a talk at the GX Talk tomorrow at 5:40, I believe, and there we'll be talking about exponential technologies
Mhm.
for government
And online.
and online as well.
And where are you online? Where's your website?
Futurity.systems.
All
That
right,
is our
Futurity
website.
Systems.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It's been
you.
such a pleasure, and we'll catch you another time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. And that's the end of this episode. I hope you liked it, folks. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to the podcast, and share it with your friends, whether they are in government or not. Share it with everybody. Thank you. We'll catch you another time.